Hello and welcome to another edition of Nate Knows Nothing. This is the Thanksgiving Spectacular. That's what I'm calling it because it's the best I could come up with at this very moment. I'm in Michigan. I'm at my mom's house, which is always nice. I do this every year, celebrate Thanksgiving with the family. It's nice to be back near the Walmart I've learned since I've been home this evening that it's been closed because of a bomb threat, which I thought was, definitely not a good thing, right? You never want that to happen at any establishment, but I thought it was particularly funny that this happened at a Walmart. Who is calling in a bomb threat to a suburban Detroit, Michigan Walmart? I feel like if there's one place where people aren't really I guess I don't want to say scared to die, but definitely well, I guess if this is where it ends, this is where it ends. Like if there's one place where the employees are relieved there's a bomb threat, it's going to be Walmart. So anyway, I don't know if this is going to affect I think, you know what? I think it might be a disgruntled employee, which every Walmart employee is disgruntled at some point, if not all the time. But I bet you it's an employee who's trying to get out of Black Friday or something, which is barely a thing I've noticed. The more and more Thanksgivings and Black Fridays I experienced, it seems like the less traditional, if that's even the correct term, the less normal or chaotic Black Friday situation. Like, remember when people used to camp out in tents outside of Best Buy? Could you imagine that right now? In the current, it's like, no, just order your stuff online and be a normal person. Like people dying on Black Friday. Remember that used to happen. At least there would be one or two people a year that would die on Black Friday, racing to a bin of $5 DVDs, like this was like a regular occurrence. It was so normal, or, quote normal, you know what I mean? It just doesn't happen anymore, thankfully. Like I remember a couple of years ago, I ran out on Black Friday, and I wasn't trying to score any sick deal, but I had to run out, and I was like, man, I don't want to do this. But I'm also I like to tell myself I wasn't contributing to the madness, and I went out, and it wasn't that bad. There was nobody out, and I'm like, I think people are realizing this is all just dumb, which I guess is kind of a positive thing for society, right? We all just kind of got collectively tired of the Black Friday madness, that, or we just realized the deals just sucked. Because if I owned a business, let's say not even a big business like a Target or something, but if I was in charge of things, here's what I would do. Okay, I would increase the prices 20% and then offer everyone 20% off, and then you realize this is a garbage deal, especially when I can order something online. And I may have brought this up on a previous episode. Apologies if I'm repeating it, but I remember the whole online thing is the best thing that's ever happened to me personally. It's shopping online is the best thing because I don't ever have to leave the house anymore. In fact, I remember one year I was shopping for someone for Christmas or something, and I was standing in line, and and it was busy, right? And I'm frustrated. I'm like, I don't want to wait in this line anymore, I was in line for a long time. I was in line for so long that I actually ordered what I had in my hand online, and it would get there in 2 days. And I was like, screw it. And I went and put it back on the shelf. And that's why Amazon's amazing. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I'm all for it. If I don't have to leave the house and deal with that stuff anymore, I'm all for it. This is great, though. I'm back at my mom's. I'm in her basement because I'm not in my studio. I actually think it sounds better here. I got to really treat the studio back at home. I'm back in my home studio, but it's a much more acoustically pleasing, I think. And I'm trying to not be so loud because, I don't want to wake anybody up because, I'm doing this after hours. But before I get into the meat of this episode, in this case, turkey, it's Thanksgiving. Before I get into that, I wanted to, this is, okay, I'm trying to be on some level, I'm trying to be a more positive person, be a more positive light. And that might sound a little woo-woo, a little too much like, but I think that's a good intention, right? You don't want to be a Debbie Downer all the time, but it's hard to not be, especially when you encounter the people I encounter almost on a daily basis. This is why I don't leave the house, but then when I do have to leave the house, something annoying happens. Now, given the circumstance of this trip, right, we're driving 4 hours from Chicago, of about 4.5, door to door. It's about 4.5, 5 hours for me and this is leaving at like rush hour in the afternoon. We're getting out of here, and I haven't left the house in 24 hours. We actually everybody, my dog hadn't even been out. It was just like one of those, we're cooped up. We all got stuff going on. We're packing bags. We're doing this. The dog wasn't even interested in going out. Never even crossed my mind to take him out. So it was like one of those things where it's just like, holy crap, he hasn't been out all day. So we're about to leave. I got to go load up the car and everything. So I decided to take the dog out, but I leave my keys. So I walk him around the building, let him go do his business. And I'm standing at the door. I have to like buzz myself in, and I'm trying to figure out how to work this, intercom system that you're supposed to enter all these numbers, right? Now, as I'm doing this, I hear a big like crunch behind me, and I realize somebody had backed into a car. And whose car was it? Mine. It was like straight out of a movie. It was like, I knew. I didn't even have to turn around. I knew it was my car, because who else's car would it be, right? Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, where, you're about to travel. Of course, this would be my car. Now, tons of emotions run through, or I don't want to say emotions, thoughts run through my head pretty quickly. I look, and this lady has a car length and a half. There's no excuse to be this bad at parallel parking. If in any other situation, I would give her the benefit of the doubt, right? Maybe she's bad at parallel parking, but this lady had all the room. She has a brand new car too. Backup cam. There's no excuse. Should not have backed into the car, right? And I was a little, this is my situation mentally, right? I go, do I even bother saying anything? Because I drive an old car. It's a 2006 Honda Civic. It's beat to hell. There's dents left and right. It doesn't matter. Nothing happened. The car was fine. I think what upset me the most is that she got out. She didn't even look at the car. And she doesn't know this is my car. And I'm like, well, should I say something? This was like a Larry David moment where I'm like, just so the universe knows that this lady needs to know that I saw it, and I saw her not look, and I saw her completely disregard this, because like I have a little bit of, because we've all done it. We've all bumped a car parallel parking, it's like not the end of the world, and it's not going to ruin my life, but still, just a little bit of like responsibility, I guess, and this lady's older, and maybe like my parents' age, right? So not old, but she should know better. That's all. Also, I was standing right there. She saw me see this happen, and she was just like completely disregarding that the whole thing happened, and it got on my nerves immediately. I felt like, and I'm not a confrontational person, okay, but something came over me. So I walked up to the car. I had to wait for her to get out of her car, by the way, and then she's fishing stuff out of her back seat, and I'm like, do I wait for this lady just to be like, you hit my car? Because like it was an accident. It's an old car. Clearly, nothing matters, right? But I was in a mood, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see if she looks at the damage, or looks to see if there's damage. If she does, I won't say anything. Well, she didn't. She's busy rummaging through her stuff and doesn't even look at the thing. And I walk up to her and the car, because I'm like only a couple feet away. I'm not like storming up to her or anything, but I'm like, I walk up to her and I go, oh, was there any damage? I saw you hit my car. And she just goes, no, there was no. She said there's no damage, as if she assessed it. Also, the bumper, this is a little context too. The front bumper is broken. It's like hanging off. She doesn't know that though. She didn't even bring that up. And I'm not the type of, I'm not going to like guilt trip her. I'm not going to make her think that was her doing, but like completely oblivious. Either that or I put her on the spot and I made her uncomfortable. Now, we kind of just sat there. This is where it gets kind of awkward. I go, you hit my car. And I go, is there any damage? And she goes, no damage. And I go, well, you didn't look at it. And we just kind of stood there in this awkward silence. And I go, I don't know if I wanted an apology. I don't know what I wanted from her. And, maybe I overstepped a little bit by even doing this. But we just stood there awkwardly. And I just go, thanks. And I walked away. And the whole time I had my large dog, 160 pounds. So I probably looked like a lunatic. So I turn around, try to go into the building where I'm fumbling around because I'm like annoyed because I'm like, this lady she doesn't even like. So, oh my gosh, yeah, I know. I hit your car. No, not even like a, hey, maybe a little responsibility. Also, like, I can't believe I did that. I don't know, something. Because that's what I would have done, right? At least that's what I tell myself. And every time I feel like I've taken responsibility for even these moments of like someone calling me out. And normally I don't do this. This is what I'm getting nervous because I'm getting a little more adventurous with my public, not shaming, but I mean, I don't know if you're a regular listener. I don't know if you remember the episode I talked about getting somebody cut in front of me in line, and I totally called them out in public in front of people, and I even had people on my side, strangers. And so yeah, it reminded me of that moment where I'm like, maybe I went a little too far because this poor lady, she's probably like, this absolute lunatic. So I'm trying to get in the building, and then one of my neighbors lets me in. He happens to be standing right there, and then we have this like nice chat. I'm like, hey, how's it going? My mood completely changed. And then we're talking there for 2 minutes, and then who comes walking into the building? This lady. And she walked right past us. And I was like, oh my God, does this lady live in my building? Because I live in a small building. It's like 12 units. I mean, there's no way I'm not going to encounter this lady again, right? So now I'm like, I think I just potentially ruined another moment down the line. Something tells me this isn't the end of this, I have a feeling. But now she knows that's my car. I don't know. I'm kind of regretting doing this. I don't know. But what was I supposed to do? Just let this lady think it's okay to hit a car and just not even show no remorse, I mean, sure, what if it wasn't my car? I wouldn't have said anything to her, but I still would have been like, this lady didn't even like look to see if there was damage, Maybe, I don't know. It's Thanksgiving week. I shouldn't have this bad of an attitude. I hope wherever you're at, you're in a better mood. Whether you're driving to see family, flying, I don't know. I do like the idea that I'm in someone's earbuds right now while they're sitting on a plane going to their dreaded family gathering. I mean, every year it seems like this. If it's famously the busiest travel day of the year, this weekend, right? It's busy, and every year it seems to get worse and worse. That's what they say: travel sooner, travel sooner. Well, eventually, everyone's going to be traveling, 2 weeks early. I don't get it. Every time it somehow gets worse. They say that's going to be even busier this year. So that's why I left a day early, and I didn't find that it was any better. But I'm calling this episode the Thanksgiving Spectacular, so I got to stay true to the theme. Here's a bunch of stuff I didn't know about Thanksgiving, and I wonder if you knew this too. Oh, before I get into these little interesting things that I've all right, I'll be honest. I Googled hastily before recording. But honestly, I did learn a couple things. But these are some great things you can bring up at the table while you're trying to avoid any awkward conversations with your weird uncle. Man, this is where I would play like a cool like soundbite, maybe some like turkeys gobbling or something. I don't know, something corny, like a radio morning show, but I don't have any. You're just going to have to deal with only my voice. All right, here's number one. You feel like you learned this in school. If I learned it, I definitely forgot it. So I don't know if this is one of the things they taught, because, they teach you all the corny, like Pilgrims, Indians, nice meal, and then we all know that's a bunch of BS, right? We all know what really happened during that era of the United States. But alas, we celebrate Thanksgiving by eating turkey, mashed potatoes, all the staples, right? But it wasn't like that. They didn't have pumpkin pie. Well, maybe they did, but they didn't have the staples we love. Or if they did, They definitely weren't serving them, right? There wasn't mac and cheese and stuffing. So this is what, according to the internet, the meal actually, the first Thanksgiving, which I think about every Thanksgiving. Let's be honest. Thanksgiving doesn't cross my mind until Thanksgiving Eve, usually. But the first Thanksgiving meal, there was no turkey. Turkey wasn't a thing. I don't know why by the way, turkey, one of the worst poultries, right? I would much rather have chicken. I think it's a better staple, a better like main thing, right? Turkey I always find, maybe it's just my family's turkey. I don't know, because the occasional turkey's fine, but I can't do it. Like Thanksgiving, it's my maybe it's just the sides are just, it's hard to beat the sides, right? It's hard to beat mashed potatoes, all those things you love, stuffing. I'm not a big cranberry sauce guy, but now I'm just listing off my favorites here. But deer was actually, it was like a bunch of, it was like deer, cod, bass, fish, wild shit, right? None of this hormone infused turkey that we have today. Although that's like a little, I mean, venison might not be your thing, but I think I'd rather have it than turkey, to be honest. But like, I don't know who would celebrate Thanksgiving if the meal consisted of deer. That's all. Like, some of these changes, I'm glad. Some of the things that we don't also do that they did potentially at that first one. Also, that first one, how many people do you think were actually there? I think it's more about the message of it, right? Sit down, give thanks. Thanks for letting us steal all your stuff. It was like, that was kind of the tone. It felt like probably a forced Thanksgiving meal for at least half the people that were there. But it eventually becomes a national holiday. And it's like, man, we should do this again next year. I always think about that first holiday. And this is like one that's, I guess, somewhat inspired by true events, like a base that, Christmas, you could say the same thing, depending on what faith you believe in, right? Or what God you're into. So, I'm not going to have that debate right now, but Thanksgiving, we can actually, pinpoint, like, these were real people who did this thing on this day, and now we're here. And, you ever think about that first one? Like, okay, it had to have started just like, all right, we're going to do this next year, and then next year, and then who decides it becomes a national holiday? I will tell you who as soon as I can pull up these notes that I made, because this is the most prep I've ever done for an episode. And I'm really trying to stick to this theme of Nate knows nothing, because I truly don't, particularly about Thanksgiving here. Here we go. Did you guys know that there is a, quote, mother of Thanksgiving? Her name is Sarah. I'm assuming this is Josepha. Joseph A. Sarah Josepha Hale. She campaigned for Thanksgiving to be a national holiday. She also wrote many editorials and letters to political leaders advocating for it. Her persistent campaign lasted 17 years until President Lincoln finally declared it a national holiday in 1863. So this is the woman we all have to thank for ruining every November. Okay, and now maybe that's a bit harsh, but think about all of the stuff that comes with it, because, like, don't get me wrong, and I'm lucky. I have a great family. I look forward to seeing them. We don't have all the stereotypical, like, jokes about, Thanksgiving and somebody, we all get along, right? All the jokes you have in your head about Thanksgiving, and I know some people have it pretty tough, but man, I'm pretty lucky in that sense, right? I actually truly do look forward to seeing them every year, but, it's the holidays. It's still like, ugh, on some level, right? On some level, it's the stress of this, that, and, like, it all comes back to this one lady who spent 17 years of her life. And by the way, back then, 17 years, that's like middle-aged, right? Like, this was pre-Lincoln. I didn't even realize Lincoln. And if I was supposed to know this, just basic, middle school history, no clue. I went to good schools too. My parents sent me to great schools, and I have no clue. But this lady spent 17 years of her life campaigning to get Thanksgiving on the national holiday list. And, maybe it was meant something different back then, but now it's just, it's a nice day off, right? I mean, you get the weekend off. That's kind of something to look forward to. But I feel like everything else around it, it's like, yeah, I don't need to go through the whole thing of the holidays just to remember I should be thankful. Like, what possibly could have been her motive? And also, think about it. She wasn't just emailing, and I mean, nowadays you can go on Instagram or something and start doing a whole bunch. Like, you can get people to sign petitions. You can go outside the grocery store. You can get people to sign the thing. No, not then. Then she had to. I mean, you could mail stuff, but God knows if it gets there. You don't even know. That's the thing. Is like you just hope, and then you hope they write back. Like, maybe it took 17 years because the mail wasn't even getting to her because it was carried by horse. I mean, of all the holidays, this is the most persistent. I mean, and why not any other holiday for this lady? What was she so thankful about? And was Lincoln just like, oh, I heard about you? Like, he gets elected and then he's like, oh, this lady? Like, every president before him was like, hey, look out for this lady. She's going to send you a letter every month. And he was just finally the person who gave in. So there's a little bit of information you can share with your family around the dinner table, right? Especially when things start to get a little dicey, someone brings up one of your least favorite politicians. You can just change the subject, bring this up. Hey, did you know Abe Lincoln is the reason Thanksgiving's a national holiday? Also, some lady named Sarah. And I already forgot her last name because I closed the tab that I had open on my laptop. But this is what I mean. Like, okay, so the awkward conversation thing, this is the standard joke about Thanksgiving everyone loves to make is about people arguing about politics, this, that, everything, right? Well, like I said, my family, we don't really do this. I mean, we're from Detroit, so like we have the football game every Thanksgiving to look forward to, and for the longest time, the Lions sucked. So it was like kind of like a ho-hum event. You're kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch, but, it's still the Lions. But this year, it's different. We're killing it, right? This is actually going great. So everyone's looking for, this is going to be a big event for the city, right? Everybody's really excited to watch. So in that regard, we've always had that to be our common, like, okay, everyone's going to watch the game. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to, maybe in between we'll interject and, everybody will splinter off and their own conversations. But it was always about the football game. It was about the football game, what we're eating. How's everyone doing? Good? All right, we'll see you next year, right? Simple. But if you're not from Detroit or like Green Bay or like one of these cities that is often playing on Thanksgiving, it might not mean the same to you, right? You might watch the games, but you got to deal with all the stuff that everyone hates. So in that regard, I've always lucked out, right? We've always just kind of enjoyed the game and the food. And that's it. That's just it. So remember, you have the power to completely derail any uncomfortable conversation this Thanksgiving. And I suggest doing it by bringing up some interesting Thanksgiving facts that I'm sharing on this episode, or just mention my podcast. Man, if you want someone to stop talking to you about whatever, just say, hey, check out my friend Nate's podcast, right? He's this great stand-up comedian. He's funny. You'll love it. You should listen to it. And then, if they listen to this episode, they're going to know that you suggested it because they were being weird. This is my best advice for how you should celebrate your Thanksgiving. Oh, another fun thing to do on Thanksgiving. This is my other suggestion, right? Another thing to watch right before the football game, right? So this is what you could do is Detroit. Actually, this is what's cool. If you're a Detroiter, if you're from the Detroit area, you know that the Detroit Thanksgiving Day Parade is the only other nationally televised parade in the country after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. Why? I don't know. Okay? I just know that. This is my own little information. Now, these parades are the only ones I'll ever watch, and that's because they're televised. Okay? You can't get me to go to a parade. I'm not going. But I will watch one on television as long as it's on Thanksgiving. because you got me. I'm cornered. I don't want to talk to anybody. Also, I can watch it from the comfort of my own home, you know? You can't get me to go to a parade. I bet you if I have kids, I'm probably not going to go to a parade. Probably not going to do it, okay? I don't even think kids like parades. There were a couple times growing up I went as a kid with like my dad and my brother, and it was fun, but I was a child. Also, I was me. So the whole time I'm kind of like, man, we should really leave. It was such a bummer. I couldn't even enjoy a parade as a kid, which is how you end up growing up to be an adult that confronts a lady about hitting your car. All right, now here is my last little cool little tidbit that I think you can share at the Thanksgiving dinner table, okay? The first TV dinner was inspired by Thanksgiving. Can you believe that? Here's what my handy-dandy screen says. In 1953, Swanson overestimated the demand for Thanksgiving turkey, ended up with 260 tons of excess turkey, so a salesperson came up with the idea to package it into aluminum trays and other sides like sweet potatoes and cornbread dressing, thus creating the first TV dinner. Wow. So if there's one thing we can be thankful for, it's that Thanksgiving created the TV dinner. So now when you decide to stay home alone and eat a TV dinner instead of hang out with your family, you can tell them that, no, this is how it was meant to be. All right, I think I'm just going to wrap it up right there. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope it's a good one. I hope, just remember everything to be thankful for. I mean, come on, you got friends, family, you got good food, you got whatever it is, football, you got my podcast. In fact, if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. That would help out hugely. Hugely? Doesn't matter. It's 2 a.m. Nothing matters. If you can subscribe, that'd be great. Leave a rating and a review. That'd be really nice of you. If there's one thing I'm thankful for, it's those awesome 5-star reviews. And I would love it if you came back, told your friends, tell your whole family about it. In fact, if you tell your entire family about my podcast around the dinner table and you film yourself doing it, I'm not going to do anything. But that would be awesome. I would do something, but quite frankly, this show has no budget, and I'm currently recording it in my mom's basement 2 days before Thanksgiving, so here we are. Actually, it's 1 day, so even better. Thank you so much for listening, and happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week with another brand new episode of Nate Knows Nothing.